Good morning. Thank you for being here on a beautiful day in Suffolk County, and we're proud to welcome once again our great governor, Andrew Cuomo, for an important announcement. It's beautiful to be here in the town of Southampton, and I want to thank everyone who's come out today for this announcement. Before we get started, I just want to introduce a number of my colleagues who are here and thank them for their great work and leadership on the issues that we're discussing here today. First, we have our New York State Assemblyman, Steve Engelbright. Assemblyman Fred Thiel. Town of Brookhaven Supervisor Ed Romaine. And our host here, the Town of Southampton Supervisor Jay Schneiderman. Thank all our environmental advocates and community leaders are here. Very proud to be joined, of course, by New York State DEC Commissioner Basil Sagos. We're also joined by gentleman I like to call the Paul Revere of water quality here on Long Island, Dr. Chris Gobler, professor of Stony Brook University, School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences, and Dr. Matt Whalen, Stony Brook University, Vice President for Strategic Initiatives and Vice President for Student Affairs. Thanks, Matt. Well, again, it's a pleasure to welcome Governor Cuomo back to Suffolk County. It is clear the governor is dedicated to improving the lives of our residents all across the state, but certainly here in Suffolk County and across Long Island. And the thing I've always said that I love about this governor, he doesn't just talk about the issues, he gets it done. And I will tell you this boat trip we just took on was another great example. Under the governor's leadership, New York is rebuilding our infrastructure, creating economic opportunity all across Long Island, and making unprecedented investments to strengthen and protect our environment. That is critically important today, and I thank the governor for his leadership on the environment. It's great to have a leader who cares about the environment. Here on Long Island.
Keep going, keep going. Don't slow down.
Here on Long Island, the governor recognizes the importance of our unique natural resources and the challenges that we face, and some of the unique challenges that we face here in Suffolk County and all across Long Island. From investing in our water infrastructure to improving our parks and beaches, the governor is delivering for Long Island residents. And today, he is again taking action on behalf of our communities and stepping up to ensure that water quality is protected here on Long Island for us and for future generations. We're grateful for his leadership, for his continued support of Suffolk County, and for all New Yorkers. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 56th Governor of the State of New York, Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you very much. What a pleasure, what a beautiful day, huh? State is in charge of the weather today. County tried to take credit. No way.
I tried.
First, New York County Executive. I work, obviously, with county executives all across the state. I was in the federal government for 8 years. I worked with county executives all across the nation. Leadership matters. You know, competence in government matters, especially today. And in Steve Bellone, you have not only one of the finest in this state, but one of the finest in this nation. And it's always my pleasure to partner with him. My colleagues from Albany, Steve Engelbright and Fred Thiel, let's give them a round of applause. They did a great budget with a great program, and I want to thank them. Supervisor Romaine and Jay Schneiderman, thank you very much. Thanks for being with us today. Adrian Esposito, who's just a great, great advocate. Pleasure to be with you. Commissioner Basil Sagos, who's got one of the toughest jobs in the state, Commissioner of DEC, but he's doing one of the best jobs. So give him a round of applause. and Dr. Chris Gobler, who really is a pioneer, and he's brilliant, and he's attacking what is the most vital problem that we have in the state of New York, if not the country. So let's give him a round of applause. You know, at one time, Bill Clinton had a line that he used to use. He used to say, it's about the economy, stupid. And it wasn't the most artful comment, right? We tell our kids not to call people stupid, but it really summed up the importance of the issue, because there's so many things going on. And that line said the number one issue was the economy. And at that time in this country, it was about the economy. Long Island, we have a lot of issues going on, there's no doubt. But it is about the water quality, Long Island. That is the number one issue for Long Island. We're dealing with everything. But it is about water quality. It's about the water quality that we drink. It's about our aquifer. And it's the water quality that we use as a recreational basis, a tourism basis. And it's related. And there is no issue more important than that to Suffolk and to Nassau, period. Period. It doesn't mean we don't have other issues, transportation, infrastructure, Long Island Railroad, sure. But the water quality, to me, is critical. And we have been working with your county executive, with local towns. We have to have an all-out attack on the water quality on Long Island, and we have to do everything that we possibly can. We have the most aggressive and robust program that has ever been designed. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and I am proud of it, but we have more to do. The water quality on Long Island, the water we drink from a health issue, is critical. You know, the geographic configuration of the island, where it's basically sand, it's a high water table, and everything winds up in the aquifer. And it has been for years. And during one time on Long Island, one time in this nation, we were a heavy manufacturing economy, and we had Grumman, and we had heavy manufacturers, and they left the stain of the industrial era. And it now is in the water. We don't even know what we don't know about the water. You know, we're now finding contaminants in the water and identifying contaminants that are dangerous to health, that were not even on the scale before. We've been working with the federal government. In some ways, it's infuriating. They can't tell you, this is a list of chemicals that you should test for, and this is a list of concentrations that are dangerous. And it's constantly evolving as we learn more and more. But we know that we have 99 state Superfund sites on Long Island, and we know that they have to be cleaned up because they pose a danger. We have 85 inactive landfills, but they were landfills that were not built with the modern technology, so they are just continuing to leach into the aquifer. We know that we have a sewer system that is not up to capacity. We have septic systems that are failing. The county executive is exactly right. Sewer systems are not the sexiest thing to talk about all the time. He makes it sexy when Steve Ballone talks about it. But only Steve can make a sewer system sexy, I'll tell you that much. But we are partnering with the county. We have a $400 million plan that is we're working on now to put in sewer systems. We have other plans across Nassau to do the exact same thing. And we just announced a $2.5 billion program, and I thank my legislative colleagues. And this is for clean water infrastructure. Part of that program will give a $10,000 rebate to homeowners who replace or update their septic system. So that's going to be critical. And we are also doing research and development because we all agree we need to learn more because we have to get ahead of this problem faster. We understand that the nitrogen that is coming from the inadequate sewer system winds up in our coastal waters, and then it starts to wreak havoc. And Stony Brook has done a fantastic job on their research, and I'd like to give them a round of applause. Today we're talking about a specific manifestation of the problem, which is the brown tide. Now, the brown tide is relatively new, right? But it is very troubling, and in many ways it's just a continuation of the degradation of the environment and the manifestation of that in our water systems. The brown tide actually accelerates the cycle of decline. It kills eelgrass, it kills shellfish. Once you start to kill off the shellfish population, they don't have the concentration to reproduce. The brown tides have been coming earlier, and they've been getting worse. The ultimate answer is reduce the nitrogen, which takes you back to the strategy that we talked about before, sewer systems, et cetera. But we want to be attacking this from every angle. And what we saw today is a very aggressive and creative approach to the problem, which is shellfish, clams, oysters, at the appropriate concentration can help prevent a brown tide from reaching a dangerous concentration level. Once the brown tide gets too thick with algae, the clams and the oysters can't function. But before it gets to that point, they can be very effective in filtering water. The Stony Research Center has done seeding programs. Many of the towns have done seeding programs of shellfish. We know that it works, and we know that it works well. We just have to bring it up to scale. Today, we're announcing that we're going to do $2 million to Stony Brook Research Center, and for the project that we're talking about today. That $2 million will bring to scale just what we were doing today, which was growing and seeding clams and oysters through the Sea Grant program. But we have to do even more than that. We discussed today that you would need about 30 million clams to be an effective filtration device for the western side of Shinnecock Bay. This is not just Shinnecock Bay. This is the Great South Bay. It can be the Peconic at times. It's all over Long Island. So my challenge to our local officials while we were on the boat was, we know this works. Let's really step it up, and let's form a partnership that is aggressive. And let's talk about reproducing and seeding hundreds of millions of clams and really get ahead of this issue and make a significant difference quickly. We've been talking about it for a long time, but we have to get to the action phase and significant action because the clock is against us. You look at how this environmental degradation has been keeping pace. It is now ahead of our rate of remediation. So we do have to get aggressive about it, and we have to step up scale. The $2 million will be a good start. But I said to the county executive and Jay Schneiderman and Ed Romaine, you find more facilities that can do the breeding and the growing of the oysters and the clams, and we will fund whatever you can set up, and we will get to hundreds of millions of clams and oysters. They act as a filtration device. They're good for the economy. there's all sorts of benefits. We just have to do it. We just have to make it happen. And that's where government comes in. And as the county executive said, that's the art form of governing. You know, for a lot of years, people thought governing is about talking. We're past the talking phase. We're into the doing phase, and we're aggressively into the doing phase. Because at the end of the day, it gets very simple, you know. It is about making this place a better place. And we've been given a gift of life, and we've been put on this planet for a certain period of time. And the ultimate question for all of us is, did you use your time to make this place better? I did a commencement the other day to high school students, and I said, you know, for you, this is all very complicated when you're young. What should I be? What school should I go to? I said, you get old like me, it gets very simple. There's one question. Did I do good things? And did I leave this place better than I found it? We're near the Shinnecock Reservation. Native Americans have a beautiful expression. We did not inherit the earth from our parents. We are borrowing it from our children. When we turn this land over to our children, there can be no brown tide. There can be no excess nitrogen in the water. The clams have to be back. The oysters have to be back. The fisheries have to be back. We're going to leave them Long Island better, cleaner, safer than we found Long Island. That's our obligation, and we're going to make it happen. Thank you, and God bless you. You're going to take questions?
It's up to you.
Thank you very much. We'll take any questions from the press. Seeing no questions.
Can you talk a little bit about the climate accord that you all announced yesterday with Washington?
You brought that up.
Sorry.
You know, the federal government obviously has announced, President Trump announced that he's not going to follow the Paris Accord. I think that is a tremendous mistake. I think it was a great world advancement that accord was reached. Secretary John Kerry at the time did a tremendous amount of work on it. I talked to him yesterday about it. But it was a great step forward. It was an international recognition of the problem and the scale, and it was an international agreement to move forward. I think it has a potentially devastating impact. And I said, we're going a different way as the state of New York. We're going to follow the accord. We're doing it individually. We joined with California, and when you have California and New York together, you have two of the largest players, literally, in this area. And we're joining on with other states and other mayors. I don't believe the people of this country support the withdrawal from the accord. I don't believe it. I believe people understand that the environment is under stress. People understand that we have extreme weather problems that we never had before. People get it. People see the brown tide. People see 7 feet of snow in Buffalo. Buffalo gets snow, but they never had 7 feet of snow. We have tornadoes in New York State. We never had tornadoes in New York State. We have a problem with Lake Ontario right now. It's at its highest level in recorded history, and it's flooding the shoreline. People get it. They're smart. So I don't understand the thinking or the reasoning, but we're going the other way, and we're going to bring a lot of other people with us.
Governor, could you provide more details about the $1.6 billion investment in renewable energy that New York is committed to? Over what course of time, and how does that fit into this greater plan to promote the environment?
It's relatively simple. What the Paris Accord said was you have to move to alternative forms of energy, and you have to do it quickly. The state was already on that agenda and on that program with investing in renewable sources of energy, right? Wind, solar, et cetera. The $1.6 billion is going to accelerate our move towards renewable sources, which is how we will have the most aggressive renewable standard in the nation and comply with the Paris Accords. Renewable energy is one of the main thrusts to be in compliance with the Paris Accords, and that's the investment. Okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you. Good.